Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today got some more parts for the Ducati build series. So what I've got here is the heat shield, carbon fiber heat shield for the back exhaust pipes to replace the stock plastic one. So we'll get this opened up. So as you can see, this is from Fullsix. I ordered this from motowheels.com. Oh nice, it comes with the heat shield. I wasn't sure if that was coming attached or if I had to buy my own. Oh nice. You guys can see that. So it's a gloss finish. It's got the plain weave, call it the 200 plain weave. This kind of matches the stock carbon fiber look on the Ducati. So it's one piece, it looks like. The stock cover is actually two halves that come together. Looks like we do have a part that comes off. This will be interesting to install. I might have to actually remove the rear frame just to get this to slip on over the pipes. Let me get you guys off this mount and see if I can give you a visual. I'm recording on this GoPro that I picked up. So let's take you to the bike. So as you can see, the exhaust pipes are exposed right now. The stock cover that I have over here. So from what I understand, so only part I'm using off the OEM or the stock heat shield is this metal inner shield. So there's a few bolts that attach it to the plastic outer surround. We'll get those bolts taken out. There's a little rubber bushing. We'll also get those removed. There should be four, two on the left hand side and two on the upper side of the top. So we'll get these two bolts removed. The other two, we'll remove the inner shield. I'll get this thing all cleaned up, and then we'll go about attaching it to the new carbon fiber piece. All right guys, what you're gonna need to remove these stock fasteners is a number 3 a 3mm Allen wrench, and you got 4 of these fasteners. 2, if you're looking at it from the rear of the tire, you know, as the bike's facing forward, you got 2 on the right hand side and you got 2 on the top hand side. So we'll start by pulling off the first 2 on the right hand side. Right on out. They're kind of just some dowel pins that kind of hold it in place. So just a little wiggling back and forth, and you'll see that these pins slide right out of the bushings here and here, and once again on top. I hope you guys can see this. I can't see what I'm filming with this new GoPro, so I'll have to see if I have to record all this later on. You're gonna have fiber washers on the underside of this bushing. So I'll get one of these bushings pulled out and I'll give you a little preview of what I'm referring to. All right, let me see if I can get my front screen to show. Okay. All right, so how this works. Let's see if I can show. All right, so battery died. All right, we're back at it. So these dowels that are on the underside, they slide through the bushing that's in the plastic surround. So on the bottom side, just in case things kind of pop out and fall all over the place, just know that on the underside, you have a fiber washer. Then this dowel slides through the rubber grommet. And then on top of your grommet, you're gonna have another fiber washer. And then you're gonna have the metal washer and then the screw. And that'll go through your actual, plastic shield, or in my case, the carbon fiber one. So I'll insert these rubber grommets into the carbon fiber. And like I said, I'm reusing this heat shield. I'm gonna go ahead and give this bad boy a bath and get it all shined up like new. And then I'll install this into the carbon fiber. So I'll step you guys through that process, but I just wanted to give you a little heads up on, the placement of the fiber washers, the metal washers, the rubber grommet, so on and so forth. So if you're wondering if these come apart, they do. You've got 3 screws that go into these little clip fasteners on the bottom side. So I actually pulled these apart when I was trying to take out the heat shield off the bike, and I struggled with it. It was a tight fit, and it's a lot easier, and I'm gonna show you to remove the rear subframe. So I'm gonna leave this all intact as one piece attached to the carbon fiber, and it should just drop right over the headers coming out when the subframe is removed. So hold tight. I don't think I'm gonna video the cleaning of this. I'm just gonna shoot some Simple Green in there, give it a little bath, rinse it off, shoot some Simple Green on the outside, give it a little bath, and that is gonna be good. It'll take off all the grime, it'll bring it back to new, but I'm not gonna bore you guys with the cleaning video. All right, hold tight. All right guys, so we've got this thing all shined up. I didn't really give you a good before and after, or a before, but it's shined up. Like I said, I just shot some Simple Green on it, let it sit for a little bit, came back with the rag and just kind of washed everything off. It just rinsed right out. So this is not visible, so doesn't need to, be shined up to a mirror finish or anything like that, but does have a nice finish already. I just cleaned off some of the gunk that was built up. So all right, here we go. I'm gonna get this started, or get this install started. I'm gonna start by dropping all my fiber washers onto these dowels. That way they're ready to go. I don't know if you guys saw that. So working with this camera here, you got the 2 top pins and the 2 side pins. I just lost my fiber washer on. So fiber washer, fiber washer, fiber washer, fiber washer. I'll get the carbon fiber piece, finish pulling the rest of these rubber grommets out. So the rubber grommets kind of just fold and pull out just with a little bit of pressure. So what I like to do is basically come from the underside and roll one of the edges in into the opening, into the hole, and then on the top side, kind of roll that same edge in, and then just pull upwards, and that should pull that right on out. So there's a fiber washer stuck in this one. Same tactic. Pull from the underside, fold the top side, and pull this out. And that should be all four. So I'll set that aside. I've got my 4 rubber grommets that I'll insert into my new. All right guys, so we got the tank removed. I have a video on removing the tank, so if you guys want to know how to remove the tank, go ahead and watch my video on removing the tank. But for the most part, on this install of the carbon fiber exhaust shield, we're gonna basically loosen up this rear subframe just enough so I can pivot the frame up and then drop the new heat shields over the exhaust headers here. What I'm worried about right now are these 2 bolts. These bolts were a pain in the butt taken out. This lower one, you don't have much clearance, and right now you can see it's a pretty tight squeeze to get like an Allen wrench or something on this, but imagine having the heat shield surround right there. And this is the OEM, and it sits right inside there, and you literally have no access to pull these 2 screws out. They make it really hard getting them out. I had to shave down and modify an Allen wrench just to get in there to do a few turns at a time, back it out enough, and then able to unthread it by hand. But yeah, pain in the butt. The new carbon fiber does not have access through the top side. I'll pull that, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm a little worried if I'm gonna be able to use or mount the bolts through here. So we'll see, hold tight. So as you can see how this is kind of finned up and you have access to pass the bolt through. This is sealed off, so there is no access. So I have to go completely from the underside, which now I have to, looks like, remove the heat shield, the metal shield that I just installed, which is no big deal. It's just 4 bolts. But just be a little trial and error going through this install process. So I'll work it out, show you guys kind of the struggles along the way. It may come to me not even using these 2 mounting bolts here, depending on how well it sits over these headers here. Hold tight. All right guys, so what you're gonna need on this is a T40 star bit or a Torx bit, and what I've got is an extension on a socket wrench, and I'm gonna basically loosen these 4 bolts up, eventually pull them all the way out, and then I'm gonna try to fold this rear subframe upwards, and then in my case I'm gonna hook it to my hoist just to kind of basically hang it over the bike, because I don't want to disconnect all the wiring harness that drapes in and down the frame. So basically the least of an impact as possible while I install this heat shield. So let me see if I can get you guys set up on a tripod or some sort while I go about removing these bolts and removing this subframe. All right guys, I got you set up on the tripod. We're gonna start by removing this side first. All right, I don't know if you guys can see that. So I've got that hooked up to my hoist above. I pulled the 4 bolts and the subframe comes right on out. As you can see, the bolts were greased with looks like anti-seize lubrication. I'll clean those up, and when I put them back in, I'll do just the same. Get those torqued down to torque specs, and let's go about this install with this heat shield. I'm gonna do a dry fit, kind of see how it drops in there, and then, like I said, what I'm worried about are these 2 bolts here. So I might have to attach the heat shield to the lower subframe and then lower this thing down and then basically re-screw the inner shield afterwards. So right now the inner shield's installed. I might have to basically attach the carbon fiber first, and we'll see. Hold tight. So this will be a dry run. This will go on. All right, guys, so I've got this lower heat shield flexed onto the pipes. That wasn't too difficult. Left that in one piece, and like I said, I was able to flex that and maneuver that onto the headers. And as you can see here, like I mentioned before, this is all sealed off. There's no access to those screws to attach that heat shield to the lower subframe. So right now, this is kind of a trial run. I've attached the 4 bolts that hold the heat shield to the lower subframe already. I'll reroute this wire. This heat shield from Fullsix comes with this removable cover here for this wire from your O2 sensor. So that's will be pulled off afterwards, but right now for the trial run, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can lower this subframe onto this heat shield that's just sitting here loose, and then I'll refasten it back to the carbon fiber. But as mentioned, I'm gonna drop the rear set off of this to give myself some access, some clearance. I don't want to scratch up this nice, pretty looking carbon fiber piece, so at least not yet. But right now, I'm gonna remove the rear set, get that dropped down. Like I said, to gain me some access, and then I'll lower the subframe down onto this heat shield. Hold tight. All right, so to remove the rear set, you're gonna need a 6mm Allen, and that'll break these bolts free. You got basically 3 mounting bolts, 2 down low, and this third, which is like a pinch bolt that you're gonna need to loosen. These other 2, you're gonna need to pull all the way out. Looks like there's some lube on these bolts. Same size. We'll get this third one out. Don't think I'll have access. All right, so I just got a 6mm on a small ratchet. All right, that already loosened up, so I should be able to wiggle this loose. Just kind of taking a mental note of where that. All right, so I got the rear set pulled off and kind of swung out of the way with a bungee cord, which looks a little sketchy. So now I'm gonna attempt to lower this subframe down. Mount this. All right, let me get my fiber washers back on those posts, and then I'm gonna try to lower this subframe down. All right, so got the fiber washers on. Rubber grommets are still inside. Now I'm going to lower this subframe down carefully and try and maneuver fiber washers are falling off. Okay. Fiber washers. All right, guys, so that worked. See if I can get you a close up. So I've got my screws shining through. Come around to the top side. You can see down here, the studs are shining through. This top one might be a little bit of an issue. I might have to drop this cross brace out, but I'll get these other three attached, locked in, and then I'll lock in the subframe back to the main frame. Hold tight. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and attach these. Remember the 3mm head bolts go on the right hand side. Basically working on this top bolt here. So I got all three other bolts in. I'm gonna remove this. Oof, I don't even think that's gonna work. Alright guys, sorry to keep you out of the loop. I pulled the two top nuts off these posts for this cross beam, and now I have access to that fourth and final screw. Alright guys, there you have it. We're all tightened up with the 4mm up top. I'm gonna swing this back around. I'm gonna flex this down and under, pop it back through. We'll tighten these back up, and then we'll come around. I'll get the rear set put in, because if you can see this little rubber, can you see that? There's a little rubber arm right here. This little 90-degree arm with the rubber boot actually slips in to the lower side of this carbon fiber piece. So we'll get that all mated up, and then we'll fasten the rear set back to the bike, and then we'll systematically start putting the subframe attached back to the bike. Actually, before I'll probably leave the subframe just kind of hand tight, just because I know I need to pull these panels off and do the whole Ducati heat shield, Ducati spacers, heat shield kit install on this still. So hold tight. All right, guys. So now we're gonna attach the rear set back to the bike. So I'll carefully unhook this sketchy bungee cord. Like I mentioned earlier, there's this little tab that needs to drop and insert and tuck underneath the carbon fiber. So let me see if I can get you guys set up. You might be able to see that. Let me drop this camera a little bit. I'm trying to do this one-handed. All right, so maybe if I can get you on this back side. So it tucks inside here. I'm gonna see if I can hook that first from underneath, and I did. And I am inserted. Nice. That was straightforward, easy. All right, so now it's just a matter of putting these bolts back in. So these lower bolts are gonna get my alignment back to where the rear set was. I've got torque settings that I'll post below in the description. For right now, I'm gonna snug these up evenly. That should drive that onto my swing arm. Okay. That's pretty snug. Get this snugged up now. You don't want to tighten this bolt first because then you're not going to slide back onto your swing arm as much as it needs to. So I'll get a torque wrench on these. So right now those are all snug. All right guys, so this is loose still. I'll go back and I'll tighten that back up, but for right now we've got the bolts all back in. They're snugged up, but we've got this bad boy installed without any scratches. Woohoo! Definitely was doubting if this was going to be possible to attach the top two mounts. The only way, well, I'm almost willing to bet the only way is to attach it like I did to the subframe first and then lower it on top of your metal shield, your inner shield, and you must put that metal inner shield onto the pipes first, because I was trying to drop that metal shield on and it would not go on. It needs to be flexed open outwards, in and around, and that was the only way it could fit tightly around those pipes. The plastic shield and the carbon fiber shield, they have a bigger cutout, so it drops over a lot easier than the tighter inner metal shield, which is pretty form-fitted around those header pipes. So install the metal inner shield first, and then attach your either your OEM to the subframe or your carbon fiber piece to the subframe first, and then drop your subframe down. And that really was the simplest route to go about this install, comparing it to my uninstall when I removed the OEM, how much I was fighting to try to remove the shield off the bike just because the clearances and whatnot. If I would have removed the subframe like I did just now, it would have taken at least half the time, guaranteed. I struggled with trying to pull that off without scratching things, breaking things, and it was a battle. So there you go, there you have it guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm gonna go and start installing the Ducati Spacers heat shield kit onto this subframe, and then onto the underside of the seat. And there's actually an extension piece that drops down over here and blocks this whole engine casing with a heat shield behind it, so it really traps that heat from escaping and cooking your inner thighs. So there you guys, there you have it. I'll do a little walk around of this heat shield, all installed. Got you guys attached to my tripod still. There we go. All right, hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for the next one.